Time changes everything. Reading to my young children, I found that, in mid-sentence, I began to edit and replace words that suddenly looked archaic to me, in stories I had loved when I was young. The language of Robert Louis Stevenson and Jules Verne now seems surprisingly stiff and distant, and as for Shakespeare's English, we all need the glossary. What is true for modern languages was true for prehistoric languages. Over time, they changed. So, what do we mean by Proto-Indo-European? If it changed over time, is it not a moving target? However we define it, for how long was Proto-Indo-European spoken? Most important, when was it spoken? How do we assign a date to a language that left no inscriptions, that died without ever being written down? It helps to divide any problem into parts, and this one can easily be divided into two, the birth date and the death date. This chapter concentrates on the death date, the date after which Proto-Indo-European must have ceased to exist. But it helps to begin by considering how long a period probably preceded that. Given that the time between the birth and death dates of Proto-Indo-European could not have been infinite, precisely how long a time was it? Do languages which are living, changing things have life expectancies? The size of the chronological window. How long do languages last? If we were magically able to converse with an English speaker living 1,000 years ago, as proposed in the last chapter, we would not understand each other. Very few natural languages, those that are learned and spoken at home, remain sufficiently unchanged after 1,000 years to be considered the same language. How can the rate of change be measured? Languages normally have dialects, regional accents, and within any region they have innovating social sectors, entertainers, soldiers, traders, and conservative sectors, the very rich, the very poor. Depending on who you are, your language might be changing very rapidly or very slowly. Unstable conditions, invasions, famines, the fall of old prestige groups and the rise of new ones, increase the rate of change. Some parts of language change earlier and faster, whereas other parts are resistant. That last observation led the linguist Morris Swadesh to develop a standard word list chosen from the most resistant vocabulary, a group of words that tend to be retained, not replaced, in most languages around the world, even after invasions and conquests. Over the long term, he hoped, the average rate of replacement in this resistant vocabulary might yield a reliable standardized measurement of the speed of language change, what Swadesh called glottochronology.